Welcome, everybody. Today's CFES Brilliant Pathways webinar, we're going to talk about financial literacy, work with our students on how they can start to begin to learn more about financial planning, how they can help prepare their pathway to college, and be able to use the resources from our partners at UFirst to get it on their pathway to financial success and literacy. I would love to welcome Jody Carpenter. She is the Vice President of Human Resources at UFirst Credit Union, and also a good friend of mine. And I am really excited to listen to her expertise on financial planning. Welcome, Jody.
Thank you, Chris. So good morning, everyone. I want to tell you a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in upstate New York in Plattsburgh. I know some of you might not be from Plattsburgh, so just wanted you to know that. I graduated at a local high school, Beekman Town Central School, and from there I went to SUNY Canton University, and then I transferred to Plattsburgh State University. I received an associate's degree in business administration, and then I received a bachelor's degree in accounting and minored in marketing. So I'm all over the place, and it's kind of strange having a accounting degree and a marketing degree because you use both sides of your brain. So I do that on a daily basis. So it keeps me up on my toes. After graduation, I started working in an accounting firm, and then I ended up in the local newspaper, the Press Republican. I then moved to the credit union. So being a graduate of SUNY Plattsburgh, the college had a credit union, and I loved math. So that was my starting of my path.
Okay, so just so our kids are aware, we would really like to know where you're from. I should have said this at the beginning, but if schools want to put in their group chat in the chat notes as to who is on the call, and we will take questions through the group chat as we go. We're going to try to save them to the end and give Jody an opportunity to answer as many questions as possible. So, one of the most important things that students should learn early is the value of finance and how does it work and how to prepare for your future. As a parent of 520 somethings, most of my children said, Dad, we never learned anything about finance in high school. And I didn't know this stuff, and they get loan debt and they get credit card debt and some of those things. So I think one of the most important things is for kids to learn this early, and prepare as they leave and they go into the workforce or college, so they have a better understanding of how to hit those challenges head on. So give us some background on strategies of what our students should be doing as they move forward on financial planning and start to understand all the literacy behind it.
Sure. I couldn't agree more with you, Chris. I think that financial literacy really needs to start at a very young age. It needs to start at home. I wish there was more that schools would be able to do for financial literacy. And that's one of the nice things that I get to do in the community for free, is go out to local schools and talk to students, which I enjoy very much. One of the things that you can start with is talking about what you're doing with your money, right? Each and every one of us has money, and we deal with it on a daily basis, one way or the other. When you are young, you need to know the value of money. You also need to know that there's three parts of what you can do with money. You can save it, you can spend it, and you can share it. So saving money is the money that you get. You could get as early as an allowance. You could save some of that money. You could also work with your guardian or your parents to see if there was something that you wanted to donate. Sometimes when you're younger, you can donate some of the things that you have that you don't use that somebody else would be able to use. But starting to save money is the best habit that you really can start at a young age. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can always save. You can start with simple glass, a tub. You can if your parents have like a yogurt tub or a cottage cheese tub, you can wash that out and start saving change, start saving, dollar bills. And then what you really want to do is ask your parents or your guardian where they do their banking, and start a conversation with somebody there, which will help you to be able to decide what to do with your money. If you want to open up an account, that is always the best way to start, because then that money is safe and secure, and you're able to just start the process of starting to save money for yourself.
So, one of the things about saving, and we talk a lot at CFES, one of our essential skills is goal setting. What would be a good formula, percentage, for our younger students, if they're going out and raking leaves, or they're cleaning grandma's garage and getting 15 or 20 bucks or whatever it happens to be. How would you recommend that they set goals for a savings plan?
Definitely, you want to set goals, because we all want to succeed, right, in life. So you want to set goals to make sure that you reach those heights of achievement in your life. You want to set a realistic goal, as well as being, you want to be able to spend a little of that money as well. What I recommend that you do is, if you are doing an odd job, I would try to recommend at least saving half of it, and then you can divvy up the other half, either sharing or spending.
Okay.
Now, as you get older and you have a job, what they say is that you need to live off 80%, meaning pay all of your bills and anything that you owe, and live off that 80% and save 20% of what you get in for your income.
Okay. So the 80-20 rule in finance. Okay. Be sustained 80 and then save 20.
Yes.
For our emerging young adults, maybe our upperclassmen in high school, and they have a job, what are some of the most valuable things that they really should need to know as they emerge out of high school? Everyone throws around the term financial literacy, which sometimes sounds like an oxymoron, because finance is math and literacy is reading. And some people say, well, how does that work? But what are the key terms that kids need to familiarize themselves with, and what would they be? How do you define them?
Well, when you're starting off with a first job, first thing you want to do is, how do you get paid? You get a check, or you can do what's called direct deposit. I recommend that you do direct deposit to a financial institution, and in that financial institution savings account that you have, you can transfer a certain dollar amount. And one thing that I want to point out is, I get this question a lot actually in my financial literacy sessions, is somebody raised the question, well, Jody, every time I get paid, I don't have $100 to save. And I asked that question, or they asked me that question, and I think my jaw hit the floor, because I was like, who has $100 that they can save every time that they get paid when you're a young adult, or, you're barely making, minimum wage? What you want to do is just start creating that habit, starting small. If you start small and you create that habit of always saving something, like what I suggest, start with $1. You don't miss that dollar, move it to $5. You don't miss that $5. Keep increasing. But what you want to do is, you want to create a small budget. And a budget is where the key is to your finances. You need to know where you're spending your money. One of the little tips that you can do on a scrap sheet of paper is make 3 columns. On the top of the columns, you want to do the weeks, or the days of the week. So Sunday through Saturday, however you want to do it. And then in the another column, you want to make your income, any income that you get. I'm talking if you're babysitting, pet sitting, your paycheck, anything that you get in. And then you want to do your expenses, anything that you do. This shows you where you're spending your money. For one thing that I learned, I actually did this little activity with Upward Bound students. So I did it and I came back the week later. And one of the things I love is Dunkin' Donuts coffee. And I was going to Dunkin' Donuts every day, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. So for easy math, let's do a cup of coffee, a medium coffee is $2. 2 times 5 days a week is $10. And there's 4 weeks in a month. So that's $40. $40 on coffee I was spending for this every day. So I kind of looked at myself saying, I'm, an educator and I'm spending $40 worth of coffee. What can I do to adjust that? So I actually went back to the credit union and there was 13 of us that drink coffee. So what we did is we each chipped in $2. We went to Walmart, got a coffee maker. Then each of us for a month was responsible for getting the coffee. And my parents always had a little rule, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. And that stems back to those flavor ice things and all the flavors. You can switch with each other, but I'm going to give you one and don't throw a fit and just get what you get. So what we do is we share coupons, and last January, the last time that I spent about $85 in coffee for that month. Now I'm not going to buy coffee for until February of 2022. So working at a financial institution, of course, I have to do the math, right? So for this cup of coffee this morning cost me 5 cents.
So yeah,
much better.
That not only did you problem solve, you used a lot of agility to figure out, man, I spent it. And if you're spending that on coffee, what else are you spending on?
Right.
And there are some things that our students are going to soon learn when they start getting annual bills through their credit cards and realize, oh my gosh, I'm not even using that subscription anymore. And they keep billing your card. And you also use your network. I mean, you have a network of people to help you save money, which obviously in this case is really important. One of the things within the building the budget and understanding what your expenditures are and stuff, and you talked about the direct deposit piece. Will most banking institutions, if you do direct deposit, will they split your money for you without, if you put in a request saying, my direct deposit's $200 a week. I want $30 to go to my savings account and $170 to go to my debit card. So already this is what I've expended, and this is what is forced into savings. Is that pretty common?
Yes, very common. Actually, some people actually open up 2 separate accounts, one for just savings so they don't see it. What I recommend that you do is do direct deposit, split your money, make sure that you still can live on the money that you're putting out on your debit card, of course. So you want to start small. Don't be realistic, and that's the key, is start with small, and then you can always add to that savings account. You can always change the amount of money that comes in to your financial institution where you want it. It's called a transfer file, and it doesn't take very long to change that at all.
So, I threw out the term debit card. You just used it. We have a lot of high school kids watching. What's a debit card? And how old do you have to be to get a debit card?
Normally, financial institutions, I cannot speak for all financial institutions, but most of the time you have to be 16 years old to be able to get a debit card. And that a parent or a guardian needs to be on the account as well until you turn 18. A debit card works with a checking account. So the difference is a savings account is where you put money set aside, you get interest. It's called dividends. Every month you get a small dividend. Right now the market is low, so I'm saying small dividend. A checking account is really a rotating account, meaning that you put money in and then that's your spending. So you can go to a local store, whether it's a grocery store, a retail store, and you can use that card for your purchase. It's called a POS sale or point of sale. Point of sales are normally free with a debit card, and a debit card would come with a regular checking account, and that would be free.
Okay. All right, so we do have a question. I
Mhm.
think this is from Otter Valley. Um, is a 529 savings plan a good way to save for college?
Yes, a 529 plan is a great way to save for college. You can use that money for anything in college, whether it's tuition, books. If it's used for college, you're allowed to get it out. So any money going into that account would be saved. It would grow interest over time. And if you start it early, like when you're an infant, that money can just continue to grow. That's a really good tool for parents, grandparents, guardians, to be able to do that for their students. So that's definitely something that you want to look into at your financial institution.
A lot of kids, because math, they may not enjoy math. And when you start talking about percentages and fractions and all those kind of things, they may shut down. But can you kind of give our students a little bit of overview of, not in too many technical terms, but
Mhm.
what does interest do and how does interest compound to make your money grow faster?
Mhm. Sure. So say I make a deposit of $5 today. Today is Thursday, September 29. Um, that money, just as long as you keep it in there, will earn interest every month. And then when you add to it, hopefully every time you get paid, then that will compound over a certain period of time, the length of how long you ever have that money in that account. So the earlier you start, the more money that you will have in the future. The you always want to start early, and even saving for whatever that you decide to do.
Okay. So college planning, some of our upperclassmen are, maybe they haven't started a 529, and they can certainly, go to the higher ed education websites, or they can talk to anybody, any financial planner. There's so many diverse careers in finance. Okay.
Mhm.
I know we're doing some financial literacy, but I also think we should really touch base, and talk about what kind of careers can students pursue. Maybe they do have an affinity for math. Maybe you started
Mhm.
out as an accountant and you're working in a credit union. I don't know
Mhm.
how much credit accounting you're doing anymore, but
Mhm.
you know, what are all the various arrays of jobs that students could have in a banking institution and outside a banking institution in the world of finance?
Mhm. There are so many things that you can do with a finance degree. Just going in our field where a credit union is, you have to have a high school diploma to be able to be a frontline teller position. Um, and as you get into management, then you would need an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. In the careers that you can go into, there's so many different things. If you if you like people and you like to deal with people, finance is a great tool, because what you're doing in whatever department that you're in, which I'll go over in a second, you're helping people's dreams come true. Whether you're depositing money into a savings account that somebody is saving for a car, they're saving for a wedding, they're saving for a child that's going to be born, or whether you're giving that loan, that car loan, a home mortgage loan, whether you're, trying to finance a wedding or a funeral could be, or just plain retirement. There's so many different things. You can be like an investment broker. You can be a financial planner. You can just dealing with people, and people have stages of life. So when you're working with finance, you're actually working with that person from when they start as a member or a customer or a client. You're working with them throughout their lifetime and throughout their life cycles. So that's the one thing that's really nice, is you're developing that relationship with somebody.
So what does a financial planner do? And
Financial.
what would a pathway for a student right now in high school thinking, oh, my uncle works at a bank and he's a financial planner, but I don't really know what he does, but it sounds kind of interesting. What would their pathway look like? And what would they do?
Yeah, well, their pathway would be, you want to start looking at business classes that are available through your guidance office, work with your guidance counselor. I would really suggest doing some mentoring with a person that's in that area and expertise. You would want to graduate from high school. You would need some additional education. So you're looking at a bachelor's degree in college that you would most likely have to have to be able to do that. But you're sitting down with that individual. You're listening to their story, their life, where they are, where they want, what their dreams are, what they want to achieve. And then you're going to be their reality, and you're going to try to work with their budget and see what their goals can be.
So what are ways, as our students emerge out of high school, should they solicit a financial planner? I mean, is there ways other than a savings account that they could save money, whether it's an IRA or start their own investing? How would our students go about that?
Well, you can start with a business teacher in your local high school. You can definitely reaching out to different other financial planners that are out there will definitely help guide you. And everybody has their different path, right? So there's different ways of savings. You definitely can start an IRA. The only thing is with an IRA, you really need to, that is a long-term goal, and money not spent like on college. That would be for when you were like 59 and a half years old. But what you would want to do, you can work with somebody with investments. You can start investing money, but you really need some education behind that. You really need somebody that knows what they're talking about, that will help guide you and be a mentor to you on what you really need to do.
Okay. So, we're talking about careers. You could be a financial planner. You could be a bank teller. You could be an executive in a bank like yourself. You could be a financial planner. You could be a stockbroker and not even work at a bank. I mean, you could work at Wall Street. And most of those upper level careers would require a minimum of a bachelor's degree. And so that would be something that our students could pursue, especially if they do like taking their business courses, or they're strong in mathematics and they, seem to have an affinity for that. One of the things that we had just mentioned was looking at the other aspects of financial literacy. And one of the biggest pitfalls of financing or money management is credit card debt. And a lot of students aren't able to get a credit card yet. They have to be 18 years old. But what kind of words of wisdom can you share with our students about how to manage credit cards and credit card debt?
So first of all, I want to tell you the difference between a debit card that we talked about earlier and a credit card. A debit card is connected to a checking account, and that money, when you present that debit card, is coming out of a checking account. A credit card is different in that it's going to have a set limit, and then you're going to have 28 days to receive a bill, and then you need to pay off that bill. What I recommend that you do for a credit cards can be very good and they can be very bad. They can be good in that they can be used in emergency purposes. Most of the time you need one to rent like a hotel room or to rent a car when you get older. But basically when you're at the younger age, it could be used for emergency purposes. I can share with you that in college, I had a flat tire, and I had a credit card that was my parents' card because I still was 17, so I wasn't allowed to have one yet. but that helped me get a new tire in an emergency situation. But a credit card is good in that if you make a small purchase, I would recommend also that you start with a small limit. You can start with what's called a shared secured or a saving secured credit card. What that means is that you have to have the collateral, the money in your savings. Say it's like $250. What you would want to do is make a purchase of something that you need, not something that you want. So something that you would need would be maybe a tank of gas, maybe a small purchase of groceries. It's not the new sneakers that you want. It's not a new video game that you want. It's for me, it would be shoes because I love shoes, but it would be for a small purchase. And what that would do is it would create a spending record for your credit score. And then what you would want to do when you got your bill, you would want to make sure that you could pay it off. So you're spending a small amount, you're paying it off. Spending a small amount, paying it off would be the best way to start your credit. And I would start small and like a credit limit of $250. And you can do a shared secured or a savings secured one. Or if you have a part-time job, you can present that with an application, and then you can not have it saved in your savings account doing it that way.
So, my next question was to start talking about what is a credit score? Because we do have another question coming in about that, but I think we ought to preface it. What exactly is a credit score?
Mhm.
And why is it so important to not get in debt and not pay your bills with your credit score? But if you can kind of define what that is for our students,
Sure.
kind of like it's like a report card of sorts.
Yes, it is. It's a financial report card. A credit report gives you a certain number. That number could be anywhere from 0 to 850. There are different categories. So when you are getting ready, say, to purchase a car loan, your loan officer is going to sit down with you and they are going to pull your credit from one of the 3 credit bureaus. Based on that score is going to determine what your interest rate is. The higher your credit score is, the better it is. The lower your score is, the higher you're going to pay in interest on your loan. So for instance, say I wanted to buy a Honda Civic and I have a really good score. My score is 750. I'm going to get the best rate. The best rate right now is 2%. And Mr. Mazzella, he maybe not have not so good credit. So he has
It might be Mrs. Mazzella, but anyway.
he has a score of 550. That 550, you might be paying about 10% in interest. So for the same car, that Honda Civic, I'm paying maybe a payment of $250. Mr. Mazzella, with his not so good credit, might be paying $300 a month for that payment. So for the same car, because the credit scores are different, we're paying different amounts. And as you get older, your credit score is used on different things. Getting car insurance, they're going to pull your credit. Sometimes landlords renting apartments, they will pull your credit. Those are usually soft pulls, and they have to do that with your permission. But a lot of times landlords will pull your credit to make sure that they know you're paying your bills. It's very important to pay your bills on time. I recommend that use your financial institution. You can use your account. It's called online banking. It's called bill pay. You can pay your bills for free online. It's safe, it's secure, and you know they're getting there on time.
Yeah, the timeliness of paying bills is hugely important. People could say, I did pay my mortgage, but 5 times out of a 12-month cycle, you paid it, 15 days past the due date, and that affects your credit score. Yeah, I mean, that's really important. The question that we have is, does my credit score affect the amount I will pay back for my college loan? So you may have answered that, but I wonder is it consistent with college loans, like the example you gave for car loans? If you have a good credit score, can you get a lower interest rate?
Usually college loans it depends. if they're direct loans or indirect loans. Sometimes like my girls got like Discover student loans. So that would be what's called risk-based lending, which means it's based on your credit score. If it's a loan through the federal government, that will be like a set rate. But if you're going outside other than the federal government, then you're looking at a higher interest normally, and you're looking at risk-based lending, which uses your credit score, bases you on what you're paying for interest.
So in most cases, the parent would sign with the student on the risk-based loan, because many of our students may not have established a credit score yet. If they don't have some form of credit card to establish it to a score.
Correct.
And we certainly are going to have some seniors on the call, and they're going to start applying for colleges, and they're going to get financial aid packages, and they're going to get a grant. They're going to get federally subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans, and academic scholarship. Can you tell our students what is the difference between federally subsidized and unsubsidized loan, even though the money still comes from the federal government?
Yeah, what you want to know is where your interest is. If it's subsidized, then your interest rate will tag on at the end of the loan. If it's unsubsidized, that means you are going to be paying interest and accumulating interest from day one of when you get your loan. So say you end college, your direct loans or your subsidized loans will start the interest when you end college, where your unsubsidized will start when you get your loan.
Okay.
So you could have interest of thousands of dollars when you graduate from a four-year college if you have those unsubsidized loans. So my best recommendation for you is that when you're in college, if you can pay the interest, just the interest while you're in college, somehow get a part-time job, work on campus, do study, all that stuff. If you can just pay the interest, you'll be so much more better off when you graduate, because then you can start paying on your principal. And that's the heart of the money that you borrowed.
Right. And you don't fall in, you can have compounded interest in the same way on debit as you can on your credits and your savings accounts. It works both ways, unfortunately, over time. So, we've had some great questions. And, we had mentioned earlier for our students, go, if you're interested in finance, see if you can do a job shadow. Go find somebody you can talk to. You got in the world of finance. You had a mentor. Can you tell us about the experience with mentoring? Because that is so key to our student success, finding quality mentors to get us all out of our past. I've had great mentors. Tell us about your mentor experience.
I've been very lucky. I've had a lot of mentors throughout my school. But my most greatest mentor is the CEO and president of UFirst Federal Credit Union. Her name is Linda Bourgeois. And I started the credit union working here 23 years ago now. And I was a mother of one daughter. And I was working at the local newspaper as the controller and working many hours. And I decided to get out of that job, and I came to the credit union. And I worked as a member service rep on the front line for 3 years while I had my second daughter. And then she came up to me and said, I have a position for you, and I'm going to create a position for you, but I need you to do some more education. I know you have your bachelor's degree, but in credit union land, we have a program called the CUNA Management School, and it teaches you all about credit union land and everything that a manager would need to know. So that was a 3-year program. I worked with the University of Wisconsin. I have a degree on my wall, as well as my Plattsburgh State degree. And she actually created a job for me called Director of Marketing. And I was the first Director of Marketing of our credit union. So I didn't have a clear path. I could kind of do what I wanted. So I asked a lot of other credit unions what they were doing, did a lot of research. But she saw something in me that she wanted to take me to that next level. Now, did I work hard? Yes. Did I go to work every day? Was I on time? Was I a good employee? Was my drawer off? No. Did I work well with our members? Yes. Did I go over and beyond? Yes, each and every day. So she saw that in me and wanted to a better person in credit union land. So that's why she took an interest in me, and I was very thankful for her. To this day, she's still my CEO, and she still wants me to do different things. And that's why I got involved with College for Every Student Brilliant Pathways.
Well, we're so glad you're a partner. I mean, that's what mentoring does. I mean, within that scope of how she helped build you up and get you in a position, certainly you used all your essential skills. I mean, you had to network with other credit unions to continue to learn about marketing. You persevered as being a young mother and taking on a new job and going back to get a similar to what I would refer to must be a master's degree. And, networking, showing agility, all those things, teamwork, because, if you don't have all those skills and working at the team at UFirst, you certainly, aren't going to be successful in the position of being, a vice president at this point. So, that's what mentors can do for us. I'm going to check and see if our students or teachers, I know we have a handful of schools that are logged in. And I didn't know if any of our schools wanted to put in any more questions for Jody. We have a few minutes before we wrap this up about anything to do with finance, anything to do with financial literacy. What resources are out there? How about, can you share with us
Sure.
what resources are out there that teachers can go to?
There are a lot of free resources out there that teachers can use. Through our New York Credit Union Association, I have access to a lot of different things. At the elementary level, there's what's called the Cash Kitten Caboodle program that goes with how to share, spend, and save through the NEFI program, which is a national organization. That's a free program as well. They have teachers manuals as well as 7 different series on everything from investing to saving, what you need to do when you get your first car, how to pay for college, all those good things. As a young adult, we have a program on our website called Green Path. Green Path is a great resource. It's free. If you go on to UFirstFCU.net, you don't have to be a member to sign on. You can go there. There's videos of all kinds of things that you can learn. Basically, just surrounding yourself with as much resources as you can and asking for those resources is your first step. There's so many people out there that want to help, that want to guide you. You need some time management skills, and you need to stay organized and on your plan of action of what you want to do, and stay focused.
Jody, would it be possible for you to drop a link into GreenNet in the chat box? So our teachers will have direct access to that, and they could possibly, put it in the students' Google Classroom or their teams. So, and also maybe parents can see it and share it with them. Wonderful. Okay, so now we have that, and the teachers can access that. And we also know that there are many schools that are going to use this recording in some of their career and financial management, their business classes, and they'll have access to that link as well. I want to wrap up. I want to say thank you. Oh, maybe that's your chat. Okay.
Yep, that's me.
Oh, we have another
That's the
question.
Nefi.
Oh, that's you. Okay. All right. So, I kind of want to wrap things up, and I want to thank you so much for participating. For many of our schools up in the north of New York, northern New York, we will continue to do programs with our partner at UFirst, and hopefully with COVID, if COVID subsides, we can get some really cool programming into the schools in person, and do some exciting thing for our students so they can start putting together their financial literacy, goal setting plans, and how to make, what were your three things to save, share, and spend, right? So that they can figure that out and stay above water. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. I only wish the very best for all of you. And if you have any questions, you certainly can reach out to me. I'll type in my email address. Sorry, I'm on all caps. Get those off. Don't want to be shouting at you. And I'll give you my my number. If you can only remember my first name, I'm the only Jody here. That's my contact information. I've been around for 23 years. And like I said, I love to talk to people. I love to share my knowledge on little things that can help you. And financial literacy is huge. It's something that everybody needs. So anything that you learned today, if you share it with your parents, I'm sure that they will shake their heads and say, yeah, we need to be doing that. And just remember, you start small, don't overwhelm yourself. A budget can be done on a piece of paper. It doesn't need to be a computer software program. It's a piece of paper and a pencil you can do a budget on. And if anybody needs any help, contact me. I'd be more than happy to send you a budget form and work through with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. All of us at Brilliant Pathways really appreciate your partnership. Have a great day. Thanks, Jody.
You too.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.